I officiated a wake service for a funeral in Ticonderoga a while back, and I drove up there, completed the service, and drove back when I realized, where's my computer bag? I had my computer bag with me. Where is it? Where is it? I was panicking, and so I called the funeral home, Wilcox and Reagan Funeral Home up in Ticonderoga, a place I'd only been that one time. And a woman named Diane answered the phone. And I said, I'm the priest that was just there earlier today. Did I leave my computer bag there? And she said, let me look. She looked all around, and she came back to the phone and said, I'm so sorry. And then she said, where else did you go? She helped me retrace my steps. And I said, I don't think I went anywhere. And then I realized, oh yeah, I did go to Stewart's. And she said, well, you know what? The drive from Glens Falls to Ticonderoga is pretty long. Why don't I go over to Stewart's first? And I'll see if your bag is there, and I'll give you a call. And she went over, and sure enough, I get a call. I've got it. Don't worry about a thing. I gave it to the manager, and I said, don't give this bag to anyone unless it's a wild-eyed priest. And how do you thank somebody for that? I said, you don't know what this means to me. Losing that computer would be such a big deal. Thank you. And, you know, she wasn't going to get any business out of it. I'm never going to do a funeral in Ticonderoga probably ever again. She didn't do it for business. She did it out of kindness and out of love. And that's what Jesus is saying today. That's what our life should be about. That should be our trademark. Do we love each other? Do we show love in ways that really matter? Is my being in the world making the world a more loving place? Is my workplace or my neighborhood more loving because I am there? That's the goal. St. Ignatius was the one who founded the Jesuit order. And one of the contributions he made to Christianity is that he told people, every night before you go to bed, you should examine the day. Examine the day and look for where you found yourself acting like Jesus and where maybe you strayed a bit from acting like Jesus. He said, if you do it every day, you're going to be able to stay on the right track. So his recommendation was do it before bed at night. It's kind of like having a scale in your bathroom. You know, it just gives you a guideline to know where you're heading. And I was sharing that in a homily once in my last parish, and a woman named Rita came up to me excitedly afterwards, and she said, oh my gosh, I've never heard of St. Ignatius, but I do that. I always do that. I always examine my life. She said, but I don't do it at bedtime. That's too late for me. I do it at dinner time. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Why do you do it at dinner time? She said, because I sit there and I think, what have I done to make God proud today? What would make God proud of me? And if I can't think of anything, I still have a few hours before bed to go do it. If I do it at bed, it's too late. So I do it at dinner. Imagine how much that pleases God. Having someone say, I just want to make you proud today. Oops, I haven't done anything yet. Let me get busy. I'm going to eat fast so I can go do something to make you proud of me. Pope Leo was a big surprise to all of us. And the day after he was elected Pope, he had his first Mass as the Pope. And I wanted to watch it, but it was morning Rome time, so I had to set my alarm for 5 in the morning. And I got to hear his first homily. And this is what he said. A lot of people think that the Catholic Church is glorious because of our buildings. He was in the Sistine Chapel. He's like, right, this is pretty beautiful. And here we are in Glens Falls, a small city in upstate New York, and look at the church. It's just beautiful. He said, a lot of people think the Catholic Church is glorious because of the beautiful buildings. He said, but that just means they haven't met our people yet. The real glory is not the buildings, it's the people. He said it's the holiness of the people in this faith. The holiness is the glory of God. It's as if the Pope was saying, oh, you think this is beautiful? Have you met Rita from Greene County who makes God proud every day? This is nothing compared to that. There's a lot of pressure on Pope Leo because everybody is watching in these early days to figure out, are you the real thing? And you know what they're thinking. They've got an idea in their head of what a holy father ought to be like. And they're closing their eyes and thinking, are you that? Are you what I would picture as a holy father? And you know that the real measure of that is love. When you teach, are you doing it out of love? When you scold or correct us, is it out of love, like a holy father would be? Is that how you're being motivated? That's how people are making the decision if he's the real thing. And we might say, whoa, that must be hard for everybody to be looking at him. But really, it's the exact same thing for all of us. Because each of us probably has somebody in our life for whom we are the only practicing Christian they know. Or we're the one who's the most practicing. They might not know another Catholic who goes to church regularly. They might not know another person who's really trying to be a disciple. And they're looking at us and they're thinking, oh, you go to church every week? Are you the real thing? And they're using how loving we are as the measure of that. Are you the real thing? Do you follow the commandment to love? Mother Teresa famously said that doing loving things isn't always that difficult. She said, but there's something that makes it difficult. It's when we're tired. She said the real trick is, can you love when you're tired? When you're feeling irritable? When your feet are killing you? Can you still be loving then? And that's what the first reading says. We hear it is necessary to expect hardship. Expect hardship. Don't expect everybody to be easy to love. That would make everything nice and simple. But expect people to be difficult to love sometimes, but that we're still called to do it. It's kind of like what people who have arthritis know. Sometimes you have to do the thing that is the exact opposite of what you feel like doing. When you're all stiffened up, you've got to go walk. You've got to take the part of you that is the most stiff, the most uncomfortable, and you've got to move it. They say motion is lotion. A lot of people here have had knee replacements or hip replacements. It's the same thing. What they ask you to do at PT is the exact opposite of what you want to do, but it's what helps. And so a lot of times loving is about faking it till we make it. Acting loving when we don't feel loving so that we can become more loving. Pope Francis was the real thing. We know that for sure. And there's all of these stories about the end of his life that are starting to come out that show just how deep his loving ways were. I don't know if you've heard this, but he did what you wouldn't expect a pope to do, although a lot of us have done it. He pre-planned his funeral, and he wanted to pay for it too. Normally, the Vatican hosts the funeral for the pope. That would be expected. But he said, no, I want to pay for my own funeral. I want it to be very simple, and I want the expenses to come from my own account, like anybody's would. When he died, a benefactor came forward and said, I want to pay for the funeral. Keep all of his plans exactly as they were, but let me pay for the funeral. It's what I want to do for Pope Francis. And that's exactly what happened to Jesus. Do you remember that Joseph of Arimathea gave him the grave, wanted to make sure that he arranged for his burial? So that's what happened with Pope Francis. So there was extra money in his account that wasn't used for his funeral. And so when they read his will, it said, I want everything left in my account to go to a program at a Roman prison for young offenders to rehabilitate them, give them job training, and help them to go back to a productive life. The same people whose feet he washed on Holy Thursday, that's who he wanted all of his money to go to. And so they're following his wishes. They're giving whatever's left to that program. And then we just found out that another thing that they do is retire the Pope Mobile for the Pope who's died, and they get a new Pope Mobile for the new Pope. He requested in his will that his Pope Mobile be converted to an ambulance and be sent to Gaza. He was the real thing. Right to the end and beyond the end. That's what it looks like. So we're being invited this week to consider, what time is it, God? How much more time today do I have to make you proud of me? What should I do? What do you want me to do? Should I call somebody who's alone? Should I get the garbage cans out of the street that blew out of my neighbor's yard during the wind yesterday? Should I do something kind for a neighbor, do a random act of kindness? What do you want me to do? How can I make you proud? Some of us maybe already did it, but the rest of us are looking at our watch and thinking, okay, I've got however many hours left. I got to get busy. Interestingly, I was writing this homily in a mom and pop restaurant, and I was served by the daughter of the owner. I don't know her, but at the end of the meal, while I was still working on the homily, she had a cookie on a plate that I didn't order, and she put it down and she said, "This is my favorite cookie we make. It's shortbread with a little dollop of raspberry, and it's got some chocolate drizzled on it." She said, "I want you to have it on the house." And I said, "Thank you so much. That's so nice." She said, "Don't mention it." What a perfect way to show love. So simple. And think about it. It was the right amount. If she had done anything more than that, it probably would have felt creepy. From a stranger, she found the perfect amount of love to show a stranger. Not a creepy amount, not too much, just the right amount. And you know that the sweetest thing about that was not the cookie, it was the love behind it. So what are we going to do? We're getting showered with love all the time from God. What are we going to do between now and bedtime to make our Abba proud of us?